I am not too old to dance. Well, I just kind of shuffle, but you get the point. For those of you complaining about venues in Northern California, I want you to think about this corn on the cob. And if you're needing rideshare when up at the Gorge, you're going to want to save this because this is going to save you some time and money. 2 people are going to be flying in together, but the other 4 are going to be ahead of them. You're saying right now, and what the hell does Uncle Fester have to do with any of this? Welcome to NorCal EDM News. I'm Darren, and this is the Scene Report. And in this episode, I've got stories. I'm starting with a quick thought on age in festival and rave culture because I came across something that really put the history of this all in perspective. Then I'm heading to the NorCal Scene and talking about the Cow Palace because it's coming up in the Bay Area EDM conversations, and I think a part of that is the story that's not just happening inside the venue, but what's not happening around the outside of the venue. And finally, for the road to ABGT 700, I sat down with Rebecca of GW Secure Parking. We had a conversation, basically talking if your group is arriving at the Gorge in separate vehicles or someone is coming late, like your crew's already in, there's some things you really want to know. So that's what my discussion with Rebecca is about. Now, for the industry watch, I don't really have any news to report, so it's more of a commentary on ageism. Is ageism actually a thing in rave culture? And here to help me is a special guest. 3, 2, 1. There she is. Again, so a friend sent me a post the other day about age in rave culture, and I understood what it was about right away, but I didn't really agree with it. I mean, honestly, but it did get me thinking. I thought, let's propose this question.
So honestly, I haven't really seen that in our community. I mean, in the Anjuna family especially, we're just accepted for who we are. It's just, so we're mom and dad. That's what it is, rave mom and dad. We don't really
but you also just told me that you've gotten some side eye about something that you wear. I personally have never seen it, but Patty's like, it happens all the time. I don't believe it does.
It happens to a lot of people, but
Us older people? So you're saying that what you wear sometimes, you shouldn't be wearing that.
Well, I get it from my daughter. That's for sure. I'm going to be 60 and maybe I shouldn't wear those things, but I wear them because I feel fine in them and I'm happy and it makes you happy. And that's what it's all about. Not what other people think. It's what I think and how it makes me feel.
So I'm not bringing this up because I'm sitting here saying, ageism is everywhere. I mean, in rave culture, I'm bringing it up more as a question. So, is ageism actually a thing in rave culture?
Well, I guess it could be maybe at the bigger festivals where the crowds are younger and maybe it happens online because, anyone could be a bully online.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, online, just don't. Anyways, what's actually wild is us at our age, we've lived through everything musically and technologically, with the different changes in the different format. I mean, we grew up before streaming.
Smartphones, mini computers.
Obviously before social media.
Our social media was the telephone.
Yeah, and hanging up on people.
Yeah, before you could pull up any song you wanted in 2 seconds.
We grew up with, physical music, records and cassettes.
CDs, 8-track players.
Radio.
MTV. You know who killed the radio star.
Video killed the radio star, yes. And record stores where we actually physically had to go through vinyls, I mean, you actually had to go and find the music. And musically, somebody our age, we've lived through a lot of the genres, start classic rock. And
disco.
And punk and...
new wave.
House.
Techno. Oh, yeah.
Techno, the rise of the rave culture, right? There was the CD era, there was the MP3 era. I don't think I ever got MP3s.
Maybe. Napster, iTunes,
and
streaming.
And now, of course, AI is trying to get in the middle of all of this, but no more AI talk. So we didn't stumble upon this music. We've evolved. We watched the formats change, the scenes changed.
Technology changed. The way people discover music has definitely changed.
Yeah, I mean, the one thing that hasn't changed is, the love of music. So, yeah, again, I'm not really making any big statement here as much as I'm just asking the question, which is,
do any of you, more seasoned ravers, ever actually feel this?
So, anyways, it's not like us older folks are just holding on. The fact is, we've been here the whole time. So, if you have comments for you older folks, leave them down. Leave comments down below. We'd love to hear from you. And speaking of history and perspective, that brings me to the NorCal scene, because the next venue I want to talk about is the one I go way back with personally, and lately it's been getting a whole new kind of attention. And so for the NorCal scene, I want to talk about the Cow Palace, because it's definitely been a lightning rod lately with now that Golden Voice has been doing more EDM shows there.
The Cow Palace in Daly City is reinventing itself once again in an attempt to keep up with the times and attract more people to the venue. And while it is still the host to one of the biggest rodeos in the country, as Laureen Ayub shows us, the focus now has shifted toward more intimate events.
The Cow Palace.
There's been a lot of chatter, and just like social media chatter, there's been some positive, but there's always, there's negative comments, and that's what people are scrolling about, is the negative comments. The biggest complaints have basically surrounded floor access, bathroom lines, and ventilation. Golden Voice actually responded publicly and said they've heard the concerns, and that for upcoming shows they were clarifying the ticket setup, adding a larger number of porta potties, and that the venue recently installed an upgraded ventilation system. Golden Voice is kind of in a tough situation because they're trying to take a large arena and make it an intimate setting, that sits within this standard arena. Again, they're having that intimate setting, but the Cow Palace doesn't offer the same surrounding infrastructure with like bars and restaurants, that people want and can get in the city limits, in the city of San Francisco, or the ease of BART. Like, for instance, getting to the Bill Graham. I mean, there is BART at Balboa Park Station near the Cow Palace, plus Muni, Samtrans, and Caltrans. So the Cow Palace is not transit dead. I mean, it's just, you're not going to step out from a BART and be right there at the Cow Palace. So that has been that's proved to be challenging. And the point I was trying to make with this corn on the cob reference is, we really need to stop complaining. That's impossible to tell social media to stop complaining, but we could be living in Nebraska, Iowa, or Kansas, where there is no events, and we have friends there, and they wish they lived in Northern California or had the events that we do. So think of the corn on the cob when you're complaining. Now, some of the younger folks may be building a relationship with the Cow Palace. I mean, I have history there. I mean, for me, I was, as a teenager, between 16 and 18 years old, like 1981 through 1984, I used to go to rock concerts there. We lived in Modesto, and my buddies or my brothers, we'd drive there. I've seen like Journey, Kiss, and then the worst concert ever, Van Halen during the 1984 tour. I mean, it was horrible. They sang like 10 songs. It was nothing but solos. They were smashed. Worst concert ever. That's not the Cow Palace's fault. And then later in life, I had partial season tickets, me and buddies, to the San Jose Sharks because they played their first few seasons at the Cow Palace. Anyone hockey fans or Sharks fans, you may not have noticed that. So I think in 1991, 1992, we bought partial season ticket. And here's a funny story. So our group, we were in section 107 at the Cow Palace, and for some reason, they called me Uncle Fester. For those kids, you don't know who Uncle Fester is, here he is, part of the Addams family. I don't know why I didn't look anything like Uncle Fester. I probably look more now like Uncle Fester, but then I knew the keyboardist, Dieter Rule. I could see him, and I worked with him in the Modesto A's, and Dieter Rule would play the Addams Family song. Here's a little snippet, and I'd have to go and do this dance. And then our friends in the crowd are like, "Go Fester, go Fester." It was embarrassing. Not enough beers could get me over that, but yeah. And for you, fun fact, Dieter Rule started with Modesto A's, then he did, I think he did minor league baseball, and then the San Jose Sharks, and he is now the keyboardist for the Los Angeles Dodgers. So all you Dodger fans, when you're watching a Dodger game and you hear the organist, that's Dieter Rule playing, just think of me and the Uncle Fester dance. You're welcome. I digress. So when I see all this conversation around, EDM and the Cow Palace, I kind of look at it from both sides. I mean, on one hand, I get the complaints, and if people are confused about how to get to the floor or how to enter the building or the logistics that feel messy, that's a problem. So I'm curious to see where this goes. I mean, Cow Palace clearly works for some people and it clearly frustrates others. But now the Golden Voice is responding directly. That's a good thing. If you've been to an event, an EDM event, I have not, at the Cow Palace, please leave a comment down below your feelings on the Cow Palace. And speaking of venue logistics, that brings me to the Gorge and the road to ABGT 700. This segment is less about the drama because there hasn't really been any drama. The Gorge is back to being the Gorge. It's more about something practical that can really affect your whole weekend if your group is not arriving together. For the road to ABGT 700, we're talking about overnight parking in this segment. I had on Rebecca with GW Secure Parking as she talks about her place for overnight parking, and she could only speak to her place for parking, so I'll cover some of the other options. With GW Secure Parking, there is essentially two scenarios. The first is maybe your crew are coming in 3 different vehicles and you should be arriving, you believe, around the same time. This is where 2 of you pay for parking, and it's $150 for 4 nights. Then you pack all your gear and put it into the biggest vehicle. So 2 of you pay for parking, pack up your gear, and then you head to the campground. Now, if you're all arriving within a couple of hours of each other at GW Secure Parking, it's okay. They have free water. They've got benches that you could sit on. There is a few places you can go get a bite to eat within walking distance. And there's even a dollar store within walking distance if you need to get some last minute camping stuff. Maybe. I don't know what dollar stores have, but there is that opportunity. And the second scenario is this. What about the second scenario is that your crew is already inside the Gorge and you have to arrive later, maybe later Friday night or whatever, and you've got to park your car. So you pay for GW Secure Parking, you show up, you got your gear out. So talk about rideshare getting to the venue, and where do they drop off, front yard versus like standard.
Right. So there's several local transportation and shuttle companies that do a really good job, and they know the demand, so they're out late at night giving rides to and from our parking lot, and of course wherever else you might be coming from. Compared to Uber, I would way rather everybody try for the local transportation companies. They're a lot more reliable. With Uber, there's some interesting things about them not coming once you pay that deposit.
Oh,
I've been hearing a lot of
that's kind of
stuff
like the breaking news. Uber is really not reliable.
not
right now.
reliable out there. They do exist, that's the tricky part. More than often, I've been hearing a couple of different scenarios where people are paying for these Uber deposits and they're not getting picked up.
Oh,
And so I'm going to be trying to call Uber to say, hey, do you have any information on this? Is this something that happens often out here? Because we want people who are going to be committing to picking people up to be out here, not collecting deposits and not picking people up. So
again, on GW Secure Parking, make sure that you input all of the recommendations that Rebecca has on that website for just that case. If you're going to show up to her parking spot and you got to get to the Gorge, Uber doesn't seem to be currently at this time the best option, but she has those. So input those into your phone right now. When you take transportation, Uber and or taxi, or the services that you are suggesting, will they take you into the campground, or how far will they take you, and should your crew come out and meet you?
yeah, it's a commercial drop-off location, and that's
Okay, that
I
answers
don't know
that.
if you've seen that map that's that
Yeah,
map
I'll
that
show
we have
the.
on the website, it will have that put in there as far as like where you'll be dropped off.
So here this map that Rebecca did for GW Secure Parking that you could find. It's amazing, but she's talking about the or commercial drop off right here, which is at gate B3. Now, maybe some of the rides here will drop off here. I'm not entirely sure. Now, people taking shuttles, this is the drop off area right here. So if you're getting a shuttle from a hotel or a private service outside, or even shuttles from like Premier, that's where that drop off is. That is a big help right there. That's big because
Right.
people are going to want to know that. And that seems, it seems right. So cars aren't driving deep into the, parking and trying to get you to your exact camp spot. That we don't
It's
expect that, but as
very,
long as.
that's very good information to know because throughout the years, I've noticed that a lot of people don't know that. They don't know that they won't be escorted to their campsite, from their ride share, that they will have to make that large trek. And to be honest, I don't know how everybody does it because that's
Now, about the drop off, I went to GW Secure's parking website, and under transportation right here, you see the taxi guys. So I just randomly called and talked with this Brandon of the taxi guys, and he was quite insightful. And he said simply, when he has a ride, he just says, "Where are you going?" If you say, "I'm going to front yard, I'm going to standard, I'm going to terrace," or whatever, then he will just drive you to that campground, and he won't get in the security line. He's just going to drop you off there. And that's usually most of these ride shares and or Ubers, if you choose to use Uber, will do. They're not going to get in the security line. So you drop off, you grab all your gear, and security should check you. And at that point, that's when you reach out to your crew, say, "Hey, I'm here." Now, you were saying when we had you on that you have 113 parking spots there. You don't
Mhm.
sell 114 parking spots. The one
No.
time you will sell 114 parking spots, all 114 cars will show up
Right.
because you say not everyone they pay for it, but they don't all show up. Plans change,
Right.
right?
Right. You're guaranteed a spot with us. Absolutely.
Events. Do you always sell out typically?
Yeah. Yeah, we do.
Okay, yeah.
We get a lot of the luxury vehicles too. Like that's another thing that we get is a lot of luxury vehicles. Hey, I don't want to deal with the or I don't want to deal with the parking stress with my vehicle. And so that's where we come in with just the 1 day events, but the 2 day or 3 day events, we typically sell out either the day before or the day of the event. Right.
Okay.
Yeah, and I will add that definitely call your transportation company too, like right away. Don't wait till the day of, because a lot of people call us and say, "Hey, we're here at the parking lot. Is there a transportation company?" It's like, oh boy, we try to prepare people to call before the day of.
Okay.
Um,
So
but
are you saying like right now, if someone's making plans, and on July 1st, they realize, okay, they all got their airfare in and two people are going to be flying in together, but the other four are going to be ahead of them. You're saying
right.
right now you could reserve a ride share from your place to the gorge. Do that right now.
Oh yeah, there's several companies that'll take your reservation right
Okay.
now. Mhm.
That's
Yeah,
breaking news. I was
absolutely.
not aware. So
And yeah, and
some
it'll
people
give
are
you the
natural
most.
planners, as you well know, and some people are just last minute wing it.
That's me, I'm a natural planner,
We
so that's why I have
we
all
all
the
got that
planning
one
stuff.
friend. Oh my god! All right, okay. How many times we took, or you tell them something, and the next day they completely forgot. So when you arrive at the gorge and you're the one with the camping pass, and you have the rest of your crew showing up later, just ask the staff what to do. How do we get our friends in? Hey, we're here. We got friends coming later. Okay, so where to drop off the camping pass? Those who are arriving first, who has the camping pass, and you got people coming in later, you've got to drop it off somewhere. The wristbands or the vouchers. And this is what's not real clear by looking at the map, and it's not answered in the FAQ. So there's a camp check-in right here, this green flag, and it's right down here by gate B1, but there's no other camp check-in anywhere else. There are two guest services, one in between the Grove and front yard camping, and one up at the pivot right here. So my assumption is you're going to drop off the wristbands or the camping passes at either of these two guest services, and then the rest of your crew will come and pick up their wristbands at this point. Now, again, the drop off, you're going to have to walk. They're going to drop you off here at the gate, like gate D for standard and premier and terrace, and you're going to have to walk to the pivot. Whereas the drop off for the Grove, they'll get you in probably gate B1, and then you're going to have to walk to the guest services. That's the best way I can address this. Just you arrive, you got your camping pass, you got your 3 people in the car, you got a couple more later, just, hey, what do we do? We got friends showing up later. They'll tell you where to go. Now let's talk about some other overnight camping areas. If you're arriving later and your crew is already inside and you're staying at the Grove, Front Yard, or Oasis, you want to get overnight parking at Cave B because it's an easier walk. You're closer to those campgrounds. So you want to get Cave B, and the description or the link will be down in the description. There you go. That's probably where, you park in Cave B, go to guest services to get your wristbands, and then you've got all the 3 campgrounds around you. Now, Cave B overnight parking is $111 for 3 nights or $148 for 4 nights. Description or the link will be down in the description. Event parking is also available at Wild Horse Campground. You may have heard about Wild Horse Campground. Now, the cost there is $50 cash per night, and you just purchase it at the gate arrival. You just say, hey, I'm here for overnight parking. I'll be here 3 nights or 4 nights. Reservations are not required or even accepted because Wild Horse claims, hey, we got plenty of parking. If you're at Wild Horse, it's not a camping pass. You cannot sleep overnight. You arrive to the gate, say, I need overnight parking. You pay for the nights you're there, then you go from there. Now, if you do use the overnight parking, Wild Horse says you're more than welcome to use their shuttle to get you to the venue. Their shuttles start at the same time that parking and the gates open at the Gorge. So if you're at Wild Horse when the shuttle is running, remember the shuttle will drop you off here at the shuttle drop-off. Again, it's closer to Oasis, and it's closer to Front Yard, and it's closer to the Grove, which is a bit further, but it would be quite the hike, to get you to Terrace, Premier, or Standard. So if that's the case, you may just want to skip the shuttle and maybe your friends are picking you up, or again, you get rideshare. Now on Monday, after the event is over, I'm not sure if there will be shuttles that can take you back to Wild Horse to get your car. I did email Wild Horse to find out. If I hear back, I'll certainly let you know in a later video, but you're going to want to ask Wild Horse, and if they don't do shuttles on that Monday, then you're going to have to find a way back to Wild Horse. And finally, there's this for those who don't make plans and just show up and just wing it. You can always purchase a standard camping pass for the $231. That's assuming that there will be standard camping passes. This is for people who have their own vehicle, and maybe they have a ton of gear, and they lost out on parking at Cave B and at GW, and they have too much gear to be bothered to go to Wild Horse and pay that. So because they don't want to transfer all the stuff on a rideshare from Wild Horse, so they just get a standard camping pass. They show up at their standard spot, they park their car, they tell their neighbors, hey, I'm just here to park. You're more than welcome to use all of this room, and then somehow you get your gear to maybe it's within standard, Premier, or possibly even Terrace. Now, you don't want to get a standard camping pass if you rest of your crew is at the Grove, Oasis, or Front Yard, because unless they're going to come pick you up in their car, it's just impossible. It's too far of a walk. So that's it for the episode of the Scene Report. This week was really about a perspective, place, and planning, and who helped build this culture, how venues shape the experience, and why a little preparation can make a huge difference when going to the Gorge this summer. If you've got thoughts, let me see them in the comments. I'll see you on the next Scene Report.